Hey guys, welcome to the Big Blue United podcast, live from Newark Airport. I'm here with Dan and Colin. Dan, as we can see, is waiting for his delayed flight in Newark Airport. Doing the pod from there. What a trooper, Dan. How you feeling right now?
Top of the world. Where else would you rather be than Newark Airport on 8:30 on a Monday night?
Not many other places. And waiting for the rain to stop so you can get on a plane to where are you going?
Minneapolis.
Oh wow.
Lake Minnetonka.
You are really living the dream. There's
It's
not
a
many
glamorous
people I
life.
think having a better Monday night than you right now.
No, and I also got the most luxurious gum you can get, Extra.
Oh,
Sponsor
nice.
of the pod.
Nice.
Why? What gum do you choose? I chose Extra because I thought it might last extra long. Is that true?
I don't chew gum. Nor do I last extra long.
I end up buying gum, having one piece, and then putting it somewhere where I forget that I bought it, and then I find it like years later.
And it's like melty.
It's good when it's aged. It's like whiskey or wine.
Oh,
Yeah.
Real mushy mouthfeel.
Love that. Hey guys, as usual, please follow Big Blue United on X, Facebook, Instagram. Follow us, PBU Pod was the Z on X. Give Daddy Elon that money. He needs it. Did you heard? But I don't know how much longer we'll be on X because I think he's going to start charging a monthly fee for it. So
Yeah.
I'm not paying for it.
he keeps saying that, but is that actually going to happen?
He says a lot of things. All of which are, well, not all of which, 90% of which are usually bullshit.
Yeah.
He was talking about like physics or something.
I don't think he really knows about physics. I think he was just born rich and has like is like Asperger's and just good with computers. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, he's got this thing called the algorithm that he lives his life by, and it's basically like an answer key to get to the top. Just got to read his book.
That's
Exploit
funny
others? Is it just exploit others to the from the beginning to the end?
Yeah, basically. That's
easy.
what Howie Roseman does, the GM of the Eagles.
Yeah.
Do that.
All right, you guys want to jump into some Giants stuff? Oh wow, I hear that nice airport sounds out there.
Is it that bad?
No, I mean,
Yeah,
it was worse before. It's all good now.
Oh yeah. Okay, talk. You hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh yeah, that's better. All right, cool. What do you guys want to start with? Obviously, 30-12, in my opinion, the score was closer than probably the game would indicate if you had watched it front to back. And I think, basically the issue came down to one of two things. One of being time of possession, 39 minutes to 21 minutes for the Giants, which is, an absurd stat in my opinion. And it was all basically predicated on the fact that, the Giants couldn't get off the field on third down, 9-16 on third down. And I think, there was at least 3 plays where it was third and long that were converted. Watching Christian McCaffrey get a dump on 3rd and 13 and then taking it, 15 yards, it hurts. I mean, the Niners ran 78 plays, the Giants ran 46 plays.
Yeah, I think the most startling thing was just how on another level McCaffrey was on everybody on the defense. Like he caught the ball and then he was shot out of a cannon. Not that we're surprised by that, but like seeing it against us kind of accentuated how good he is and how bad we are. And by the way, all that baloney from McKinney about how bad tackling has nothing to do with why losing 2 games this season. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, that's a bunch of...
I didn't see that exact quote, but that's some baloney stuff right there.
Yeah, that really bothered me because I saw the interview and he has this look on his face like he's defensive about it, just like, well, maybe if you were more defensive about it, we wouldn't be talking about it right now.
Hey,
you stink at tackling, and you've been clearly looking like you're contract yearing it out, not really caring, making the business decision and all that kind of crap. So it's just like, I don't know.
I was like sort of reading about him today a little bit, and when in the end of the year in 2021, he had 5 picks at the end of the season, and he looked like he was really good. And I just don't think that Wink Martindale is the right guy for McKinney. Really? I don't know if he does. I mean, I can't make a judgment call on what scheme or whatever he probably fits in better, but he hasn't exactly broken out as we expected him to. especially following like the last year in the Patrick Graham defense, in which he was really starting to excel, but doesn't seem like he's putting it together. And now he's missing tackles, along with, Justin Pinnock and a number of other guys. Michael McFadden had a fantastic game, but he still also missed 4 tackles the last game. Pinnock has missed like 16 this year already, which is bizarre. I have some more numbers about these guys missing tackles, but it's a huge part of what's going on right now.
I don't know what I felt like, and I'm just going to leave it here until Dan can jump in with his comments. But I said it the other day. It was just a clear depiction of a team that is just not there yet against a team that is in the top of the NFL. And that's basically it.
I mean, I agree with most of what you guys just said. I do. For me, the game was more encouraging than I thought it would be. The defense wasn't great, but I thought they did a pretty good job, especially through the first 3 quarters, hanging in there. McKinney's attitude wasn't great with that question, I guess you would say, or the way he handled it wasn't ideal, but I don't think he's wrong. The offense had no juice, and that's for multiple reasons, which we'll discuss, but it's a frustrating thing, I'm sure, being on that defense that I think did a much better job than people thought. I do agree there's sort of lack of the killer instinct that we would be hoping for, especially from him, who is supposed to be a top-tier safety. I thought it was sort of encapsulated by that play where Bobby Okereke tried to hit Deebo Samuel and ended up doing like a 180 pinball spin off of the wide receiver who just stood there as he wasn't getting hit. Something's up with that. But, it wasn't a great game. Offense had no juice. Defense had really no rush. Never been able to stop a screen as long as I've watched the Giants, so that's nothing. And never been able to get away on third down since 2008. Always getting backbreaking third down conversions. I would love to see a stat on who's less able to get off the field on third down than the Giants have been historically in the past 20 years. But none of this is that surprising. It's all sort of like classic Giants stuff. I'm sure people are feeling good now that the Cardinals beat the Cowboys, which somehow legitimizes our losses. But Colin said it, everyone's saying it. It's clear when you watch them play teams like the Cowboys and 49ers, no matter how they lose, they're just in a different gear than the Giants. Right? The Giants can't get there now, or at least until they have a playmaker on the defensive side of the ball and like at least 2 new offensive linemen. It's not attainable with the current roster.
I was thinking about it earlier today, and I had to laugh a little bit because every time I feel like I'm starting to have my memory get a little fuzzy, it smacks me right in the face, and I'm just like, wait a second, why? All right, yeah, we're starting to get some skill players and like some exciting talent and stuff like that, but our offensive line still sucks, and I'm just like, oh, because Gettleman screwed us so bad. That's why we're still here. I hate going directly right back to it, but that's exactly why the offensive line isn't there yet, is because we're still screwed in money. We can only spend so much. So this is kind of what we have to trot out there until we get more money off the books. So I don't know. I almost have to realize that it's not a Shane kind of situation, really. He's doing all he can with what he has in front of him monetarily. And he's just trying to rub some sticks together and hope that catches some sort of fire. That's what I gather.
I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself in bashing Shane, but if you look at what he's done in 2 years, I mean, his first draft might go down as being one of the most colossal mistakes in the history of the league. If Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal don't end up, actually producing, and both of them look what I think bad. Kayvon has a 2.9% pass rush success rate. He had a sack in this last game, but it was all basically because of coverage and the way the quarterback moved the pocket back, up towards where he was running to. I'm worried, and I want to ask you guys: are you worried about those two guys? At what point, specifically Thibodeau? Like, at what point do you get nervous about him? Because we're already nervous about Neal. We knew that.
I mean, this is grain of salt stuff, but I saw some tweet about all of the Justin Tuck, Strahan, OC, and a couple other people, and how long it took them to get to their top level. And it was like 3 years in, 4 years in. So not that I'm not saying that this guy is going to end up being like those guys, but it's still within that window where he certainly could turn it around. I mean, we don't have patience. No one has patience like we used to back in the day. I feel like the social media generation has just ruined that. So we're worried now because it's just like we're seeing it all in real time. And it's like, nope, now. Because you see the Aiden Hutchinsons and all these other players that are just ripping it up. TJ Watt was great almost right off the bat. Like, why can't we draft one of those guys that's just instantly an impact player instead of building up to it?
Yeah. I'm sort of with you, Colin. I'm not out on Kayvon yet. I think he hasn't put it all together. He definitely looks lost in the sauce at times. But he's also, there's different scenarios. A lot of times he's getting double teamed. There's no one on the other side putting any pressure on. For as high as he's drafted, you'd like to see more production out of him. But there are other guys in this draft, the draft, when he got drafted, they got drafted higher. Who was that dude that the Jaguars took? First.
The first overall pick.
Yeah.
Why can I remember?
From Georgia.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't really know, but I know he's not having a breakout, top tier defensive end rushing season. So
yeah,
I'm with you on probably both of them. I think saying they were a disastrous draft this early is hard. I think any other GM with the needs of the Giants had at the time would have seriously considered taking
Trayvon Walker.
Yeah. I think you're right that it sort of takes a little time for DMs to develop, and conversely for Evan Neal, he doesn't look good. Maybe they need a guard. Maybe he just doesn't have what it takes. Or maybe year 3, like Andrew Thomas, he'll pop. Andrew Thomas sucked year 2. Bad. Like very, very bad. Like people were saying, is he, the next Flowers? And I was pretty much convinced of it. And then all of a sudden he figured something out. A different athletic profile, but there's too much talent in both those guys that they're going to be useless NFL players. I think they just need to find what they do and put them in the right place. Back to Joe Shane, he's invested a lot in the offensive line specifically, and with whether it's the first round picks or JMS or the 2 guys from UNC, and what was it, 4 or 5 guys in each draft in the past 2 drafts. I went to the offensive line, and they're still young. That he hasn't hit like he has perhaps with the cornerbacks and Trey Hawkins, but at least he's addressing the areas of need. Maybe he's not hitting, but he's addressing it. Other GMs just didn't even address it, which is malpractice.
You bring up Trey Hawkins. He's struggled a lot in the first 3 games this year, especially the last game, and then we sort of saw him get hurt, or rather Banks got hurt. I don't remember. One of them was out, which had the Giants moving Adoree Jackson back outside, which I think was probably what should have been going on since the beginning. And then, you have Darnay Holmes come in back to the slot and have a good game. Is that what the Giants should do moving forward and give Hawkins a little more time to develop, since he hasn't been playing super well as a starter on the outside? And I think Adoree has been playing a little worse than his potential. Slot isn't his natural position.
I mean, I'm open to it, but there's not a lot of other options. If you want to move Trey Hawkins in the slot,
I want Trey Hawkins to be your 4th cornerback.
Oh, so you want Holmes to start?
I think Holmes should start. Adoree should start on the outside with Tay Banks on the other side.
Darnay kind of stinks though.
But he came out. He had a good game. He played better than Hawkins has played thus far in his limited action. I mean, Hawkins is getting picked on. And, you have your best cornerback, presumably, your best defensive back is playing out of position. It just seems odd to me, especially when you're kind of haven't had much success on the defensive side of the ball thus far this year.
I don't know. I don't feel like Hawkins has been too badly exploited. Who had a big game against him? Debo? Was that specifically against him?
No, he's just been getting blown up. Hang on. I'll look up his grade, but it's not going to be good.
While you do that, I just I stumbled onto a TMZ article about how So it looks like last Thursday, a bunch of Giant fans more or less beat the living crap out of some 49er fans in the stands, but like not in that, awful way, more like we're better fans than you, so we're going to fight you about it. And they just won some fist fights. It's nice to see. At least somebody, let the hammer down. Wasn't going to be the
fight.
Yeah, look like a fun one. It was after the game was over too, so they had some more room to like really lay into the haymakers.
It was
I don't condone
fight for the
this.
kids.
Yeah.
I don't
The
condone
Giants did it
violence.
the right way.
Yeah, no, it was definitely we're in California, it doesn't matter. We're still gonna punch you in the face like a New York or New Jersey guy would.
Just can't imagine getting that upset at a sports game about sports. I mean, if he says something about your mother, maybe, but is it just because everyone's pissed off and drunk because of the game and then you fight? I mean, it's so lame. It's like the lamest thing to me. I don't know.
Agreed. However, I think I mentioned it after the Cowboy game. The two assholes who were standing to the front and to the right of my dad and I, who just were intentionally being shitheads in the sense that they were like, wearing the Cowboy. It was a couple wearing the Cowboy jersey and whatever other merchandise, and they just stood the entire time until they were eventually kicked out. Everyone got so pissed off that they just corroborated to make up a story to the security to have them kicked out, and they were kicked out. It was awesome.
That's great.
Instead of fighting, it was like, no, you're just going to get out of here if you're going to act like that.
That's what people like that want. They want to get a reaction out of you. It's better to just be like, let's just get these people out of here. Fuck them. I'm sorry. Whoops. Anyway, Trey Hawkins had a 39.3 rating in PFF. And his best aspect of his game is his tackling, and he had an awful game tackling this last game.
He's going to have a bad game here and there as a rookie. He's just
of course, man. But, at this point, we're going into basically win this next game, or I don't want to get ahead too much of the Seahawks, but you have the Seahawks next, then you have the Dolphins or the Bills, back-to-back weeks there. So if you don't win this game, you're basically looking at 1-5. So they need to shuffle this team around and put in the best players that they can, and that fit in this scheme the best, and that scheme up against other teams the best, which I think they've been trying too much to, involve Hawkins, because he did look good in training camp, but training camp and preseason isn't the real season. We've spent a lot of time talking defense, but do you guys want to, wonder what is the Giants offense? And Dan, you weren't here last week. What happened in the second half against Arizona 2 weeks ago? Because I am still confused about what this team is.
I don't know. They let Daniel cook. Is that what they did?
Is that what the kids say?
I don't know.
You know what the kids say? Daniel Jones is mid AF, is what the kids say.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's for sure. That's what I say.
Wait. They're already calling the Jet Giant game the Battle of Mid, so I'm happy about that. But go on, Dan.
Mid is being generous. I don't know what happened in that Arizona game. Maybe he snapped out of it in his pre-natural stupefied phase and just started taking the stuff that's right in front of his face. Maybe they figured out how to block for more than a second and a half. But to me, I think there might be something to the play calling issues. I'm sure you guys discussed the Dable play calling thing. When they started against the Cowboys that first drive, they were running nonstop, and then they moved away from it. I'm sure there's things I can't pick up to indicate how they moved away from it. But again, when they're more of a run first team, they have better success because they can't throw anyone open. They can't get open. They don't have time to see the receivers in the passing game right now. It's just not possible. I still like that they try to throw one long, opening every series just to get the defense on their toes, but they're not connecting on those. It's just, it was cool to see the semblance of a functioning offense against the Cardinals. The 49ers are infinitely better on that side of the ball and are going to give up those huge plays, those huge runs, or deep passes that easily. Obviously questions about like why isn't Hyatt playing more, why are they taking more shots? I just don't think that, you'd like to see them do that and open it up, but I'm sure practically speaking and how football works, you just can't do that with not having protection for Daniel Jones. So you're leaving it out there, and he's most likely not going to look to throw deep anyway. He's going to look for something intermediate, right in the flats. How many times did he throw to Paris Campbell and he got tackled for
The obsession
1
with
yard
that play is killing me. And Paris Campbell has done nothing, but they enforce him the ball behind the line of scrimmage constantly.
He doesn't even know what yak means.
I mean, they should be finding ways. It seems like everyone from like the Shanahan tree, whoever McDaniel, Shanahan, LaFleur, all those dudes, like whether or not they're getting huge yardage, they're always finding ways to get their players with a couple of yards of free space around them. I don't know if that's all scheme, if they just have way better receivers, but I don't know. Puka Nacua is getting enough room to catch a pass and run down the field. Why can't we create any sort of space for receivers to do?
It's like night and day, man. You have Debo breaking 6 tackles with like 90 yards yak, opposed to no one on the Giants, I think, even had a yard of a pass beyond the line of scrimmage.
They need to get their weight up.
Yeah, and then I think obviously everybody wants to talk about the offensive line. I think
offensive line.
Yeah, they're offensive, all right. They're bad, but I think a lot of it is the play calling too. And I think you talk about not getting Hyde involved. Okay, I mean my problem with that is he's played 50 snaps. He's got 3 targets, two receptions, 2 first downs, 89 yards. Like 3 targets. I understand it's maybe not practical to throw the ball downfield constantly. I mean, you're making sense when you say it. It's just like make a spark, try something. It's just pathetic. Like they're not moving the ball. They were going against the, what I think of the Cardinals were bottom third of the league in rush defense, and then you run the ball 8 total times. Not that they had the ball, but that's part of the reason why the time of possession battle was lost so hard, because they gave up the run. And then, you're trying to move the sticks through the short passing game, presumably, and you don't get Darren Waller a catch until halfway through the second quarter. I mean, that's the guy who should be moving your chains for you on third down, preventing these 3 and out. But, they went away from him early, got to him later, and then, Jones missed him. But, he probably should have made that catch, and he dropped one too. So, but yeah. But either way, he's the guy the offense needs to run through, especially if they're not going to run the ball and Saquon's not going to be playing.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it's sometimes the smartest coaches that you have end up doing the dumbest things because they overthink things. And I think Dable can fall into that trap every once in a while. Let's not forget, he's still sort of a new coach. Has he been in the league for a long time? Absolutely. But he's not been in this spot for very long. So you're seeing his little bit of growing pains in front of your face. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a matter of him being like we saw it last week. He took some of the play calling, obviously. I mean, it just happened. I don't care what anyone says. He was calling or influencing plays. He most likely, I can't recall off the top of my head if he had a sheet in his hand this past game. I think he did. It might be a matter of like him trying to balance, like thinking, well, Kafka's not really doing what I want him to do. So I need to kind of push him in a certain direction. But because of that, he's kind of taken his eye off the ball of the rest of his responsibilities as a head coach. So I think we're seeing him getting too much into his own head about play calling. And, I saw an article, actually didn't read it yet, but I'm curious to read it, that there's like a big substitutions problem. The timing of getting people on the field and like throwing everything off because you're just not that well-oiled machine right now.
There was 100% of play when there were 10 men on the field on defense on a 2nd and 6, I believe it was.
Exactly. So there you go. That's a perfect example of it. I think it's getting a little jammed up because I think he's getting a little frazzled and he just wants to get his hands on everything. And it's like too many cooks in the kitchen kind of situation. But I mean, that's just an observation for the last week. We'll see if it straightens out or what have you. But I think there's going to be growing pains, and we're seeing it. And I think some of us went into the season feeling very hopeful and getting some talent. But I think the reality is we're just still at least a year away from even taking that next step to get to that. I mean, I don't think we're one of the worst teams in the league. I really don't think that, but we're certainly not one of the best by any means. It's like mid-low. That's basically where we're at right now. Let's jump up to mid, which is negative all of a sudden. And
25 to 17, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Yeah, PFF currently has the Giants rated as the worst team in the NFL.
I don't think that's right.
I mean, when you talk about the coaching staff, you talk about growing pains. I mean, you're facing adversity. You had a lot of things go your way last year. You had a lot of Cinderella moments, a lot of close games where you came out on top, and it felt good. And now you are sitting in a place where you really look like you have kind of gotten worse since last year. And, Dable is now going to have to face the adversity of the New York media and face the adversity of being a head coach who's on the losing side of things more than on the winning side. So, we'll see how they revise this offense and hopefully, come out with something a little more creative and, less, you could think the way they were throwing the ball to Campbell that like Jason Garrett was calling the plays. And I hate to say that, but it's like they run that freaking stick play like over and over again, to try something else. Like, I understand Jones doesn't have time to throw, but you know what? He should be running the ball then. And I think he has 24 carries, 100 yards this year. He has the worst efficiency of scrambling in his whole career. That's a whole aspect of his game that needs to be opened up too. But
The perfect thing. I had like an alarm going off the second I wanted to talk. I think there's
is that Giants Twitter getting upset because I said something bad about Daniel Jones? They turned the pod off.
What's that thing that those guys say? Protect Daniel Jones, or no slandering Daniel, or whatever.
Yeah.
Get out of town. Can you hear me over this?
Yeah,
I think we should. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should wait a second and then just cut this part out. There we go.
You're good. You're good.
I was going to say is comparing this team to last year's team. Something we shouldn't forget is when we did play the top of the NFC, the top teams, we still lost handily back then. And we did play the Cowboys and the 49ers, who most consider to be at the top of the NFC this year. 49ers probably the top of the NFL in total. God damn it.
Well, what is going on? Like, what is that?
It's like a malfunction at someone's gate. It's just the alarm keeps going off. There's like 6 people trying to figure it out. Oh, it's off.
For now.
This is exciting. Pod.
We'll cut this part out. Don't worry.
Sure you will.
Yeah, you will.
I don't know. I don't do any of this. I'm just going to tell Colin what to do.
Yeah.
I was just going to say,
Anyway.
I was going to just slam Daniel Jones for a quick second. You said you're sick of running them running the stick routes, but Kafka and Dable said they like to run things that the quarterback likes to run, and it seems like that's the only route that Daniel Jones can throw to. So
that's a very good point, Dan. It's a very good point.
Anyway.
Yeah, Colin. We should talk about Daniel Jones a little bit because, or unless you guys don't want to. I mean, I
got plenty to say. I think the main thing is, which I couldn't believe, was that mini controversy about the Darren Waller pass. Should Darren Waller have caught it, or should Daniel Jones have thrown it better? To me, it's maybe Waller should have caught it, but he's still going back against his momentum and having to jump. Bottom line is, a franchise quarterback, needs to make that throw every time. Like, I know he's getting hassled and harassed. He had a clean pocket that time. He had a guy running wide open. You throw him the ball in an area where he can catch it. That wasn't a high degree of difficulty pass. So blaming that on Darren Waller because it touched his hands. I mean, have some, reasonableness with this. That's a throw that a $40 million a year quarterback needs to make every time.
think that is the number one point, is that years past on his rookie deal, you watch this play, you're like, whatever. Now you're getting paid $40 million a year. You need to elevate those people around you. And they've done nothing but, make your supporting cast better. And I know people want to bring up the offensive line, but if you look at with the numbers around the league, Daniel Jones is the 21st worst quarterback under pressure. So other quarterbacks in similar situations can make things happen. So if you want to blame the offensive line and say that Daniel Jones is, still good and he still has potential, we don't know what he is yet because the line is never good. Come on, guys.
I sort of know what he is.
Come on. Let's go.
I mean that what was it, the GIF of him coming to the line and looking at the defense and looking all confused, and he's just like, I think people made too much of that. Yeah, he looks like a big idiot.
Agreed.
He absolutely looks like a big idiot. But what he was doing is they were changing the defense in front of him, and he was trying to retain what's going on so he could figure out what play to call. Like, that's not a big deal. I know you're doing the Eli Manning face with him, basically.
No one's ever questioned his toughness. No one's ever questioned his toughness, or you know. So I think that GIF was BS because Daniel Jones is not scared.
He's not scared. He just might not be good. That's it.
He just is he's a poor decision maker at the quarterback position, and in the NFL, that's a difficult thing to overcome. There's not much else you could say. I mean, okay, Daniel Jones is on pace for 11 touchdowns this season. Is that good? Is that good, John? Everyone out there?
Is he a wide receiver?
That
is probably good. Or is he the quarterback?
He's a quarterback of an NFL team. Yeah.
No.
I can tell you one person he's better than.
Zach Wilson.
Yes, that's exactly right, Dan. Well, that is it. That is absolutely correct.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you
Here's
guys.
a question: is he better than Andy Dalton?
Yes, at this point.
No.
I don't know. There's not much left. There's no tread there.
I'd rather have Brock Purdy than Daniel Jones.
Oh, I mean,
that's the other question: is what would Daniel Jones be in the 49ers offense?
Great question.
See, that's the narrative that people want you to believe.
Right, and I don't believe it because I don't think he makes decisions quick enough.
Exactly that. I just don't think he can get the ball out fast enough. He just can't pull the trigger, and he makes bad decisions in the moments when it matters, and he turns the ball over in those situations. So,
yeah,
or checks it down, and you go 3 and out. I think that he'd much rather go 3 and out than throw a pick. I think most people feel that way, but if you're gonna at least get some exciting plays going because you're taking a little bit more chances. I mean, I think that's worth it at this point, especially when you're not scoring points at all, essentially.
Yeah. I might be biased, but when you're saying that the reason the offense couldn't get going is because the defense couldn't get off the field, that didn't occur to me. It occurred to me that the offense couldn't stay on the field for more than a 3 and out.
I think, same difference.
Yeah, I what bums me out about this game in particular, I had rehearsal on Thursday night, so I had to watch from behind, and that's a whole other thing. You guys are gonna laugh at this. For whatever reason, I had the game recorded through Optimum TV. So what I usually do in that case is I simulcast it from my phone, starting from the beginning of the game, and I just put it onto the TV. It's all good. They have taken that ability away. So you should have seen me. I was sitting right here on the couch. Steph had some friends over, so they were using the TV in the living room. And I'm sitting here with the TV that's perfectly, you could see it. It's working right now. Well, I couldn't use it. So I'm sitting there watching it on my phone like a complete asshole, sitting in my own house. So then they finally leave. I pause it. I go in there. Steph and I sit on the couch and I turn it on. I finally am able to put it on the TV in there. It just wouldn't work in here for some reason. Real stupid. I don't know what the hell is going on. I was able to figure it out. I ended up falling asleep. I didn't watch the fourth quarter. No idea what happened in the fourth quarter. I didn't even bother to look, too.
I had a problem too because Kat came to Teddy's. I was watching the game and then we ended up just talking. So I had to rewatch it. I watched it on Saturday night.
Did anything happen in the fourth quarter of worth?
I turned it off once Tyrod Taylor came in.
Oh, didn't know he came in.
That was like 2 minutes left.
Yeah, exactly. They just looked worse in the second half, really. I mean, there's not much else to say. It was pretty much the same thing that you had saw. I guess they were trying to take a little bit, more. The offense was getting a little bit more creative in the second half, but they weren't executing it well. So, I mean, it doesn't get much more exciting than that, I suppose.
I think this all goes back to what you're asking about. Like, what team is this? Like, who are you?
Team? Who is this team? Have we ever known who this team was since Eli Manning has been not on it?
No.
I don't feel like I have either.
No. Oh, and by the way, hearkening back to what you said earlier about not being able to stop the screen ever in your life, Dan, Antonio Pierce would like to have a word with you.
Yeah, for what, like the 3 years he was healthy on the Giants?
We stopped the screen when he was the middle linebacker. That's all I know. He may have not done a lot of things right, but he was damn good at that. That Packers game where he took on 2 blockers and still made the tackle, that was amazing.
Don't worry, man. You're paying Bobby Okereke $10 million a year to whiff tackles and make penalties, so
yeah,
you're all good.
You know what? Good players come to the Giants and they just turn to crap. Doesn't even matter.
You know what, though, guys? We still have Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah.
Still the best.
He's still been playing wonder. He's been playing amazingly well all year.
Until the Vikings just give us a deal we can't refuse, and then that's the end.
I'll give up big ups to Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, and Riley, right? No, what was his name?
Davidson.
Yeah. DJ Davidson, not Jordan Riley, who all had really nice games playing in the interior of that defensive line.
Yeah,
if only we could get something going on the edge rush, portion of our defense, it might actually, make a stark difference in how this team, plays defense.
I'm starting to actually do think that a big part of the problem here is Wink's style. I mean, the amount of blitzings that come from positions that are not pass rushers are pretty overwhelming. Like by rule, like
it's the only way they can get it going.
Yeah, I guess
it's rough to watch. Your offense, your quarterback takes sacks on a 3-man rush from the 49ers, and then watch Wink send 5-6 guys, and they're completing passes. Like that one touchdown pass Purdy threw under pressure was just a beautiful ball.
Yeah,
that's how you play under pressure. That's how you make good decisions in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, he's and he's so young. He's still building on that. He's good now.
Is it second year?
Yeah.
Last pick of the draft.
Mr. Relevant.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Enough about this. We could, smack talk all day
next
about
week.
Your boy. Yeah, let's talk about the Seahawks, who we're going. Seahawks coming to MetLife next week, Monday night. This is the third consecutive NFC West game we have had.
Unreal.
This is a weird. Right now, I mentioned before, PFF has Giants rated as the worst team in the league, and Seahawks rated as the 14th team in the league. I have a bunch of little notes about this game, but I want to know what you guys think. Who's showing up? Is it second half Cardinals Daniel Jones, or is it every other game of his career Daniel Jones, excluding Washington and the Colts last year and Seattle 2 years ago? Oh, that was Colt McCoy. Never mind.
Yeah.
I think he'll show up for the first drive. He usually does that, but then he'll disappear into some nothing zone for probably the next 2.5 to 3 quarters, and then something magic might happen at the very end, and they might do something. But if you're looking on paper, the Seahawks are a much better team in every aspect of the game, and they're not even extraordinary. They are. What's their deal with their offensive line? Do we know if they're those two? What's Cross and what's his name from Washington are playing?
Oh, Cross, the guy the Giants should have drafted instead of Evan Neal.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I didn't really look at their injury report. I did look at ours. Saquon will be back. Aziz will still be out, so the defense is going to have a rough time again.
Aziz is always out. I mean, he's been
I think his career might be on the end of his career at this point.
He's headed down the O'Shane Zimenez path.
Who is actually a decent role player this year, funnily enough, but not.
He pulled him up in practice squad this week.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, what I take on this game is that the last 2 games, the Seahawks scored 37 points a pop against the Panthers and the Lions. I think it's going to be a tough game for the Giants defense. That being said, Seattle's defense isn't great either. So if there's going to be any kind of bounce back on the offensive side of the ball for this team, I think this is a good game to try to do that. And if the Giants are unable to score points or, get some offensive momentum going, then the defense is going to have a really bad day and a really long day against, what is a pretty potent, I think, 4th best offense in the NFL. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be rough and they have to win. As I said before, you got the Dolphins and the Bills coming up after that. You're not going to win those games if you're the way you're playing now. So you're looking at 1-5 or 2-4 in my mind. I'd rather be 2-4 than 1-5.
I feel like this has the potential to be one of those games similar to the Cardinals one, where it's just like, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Not meaning that we'll win, but I feel like it might be more entertaining than it has most recently been, just for like no reason at all. Like some random player is just going to break out that we won't expect to do something cool. Like, I don't know, maybe Wandale Robinson will grow a couple of inches and then be worth putting out there. I don't know.
He was, in limited action, your best receiver last game, which isn't saying much, but it was nice to see him get involved again.
Yeah, it's true. And it almost like they were forcing the issue to give him that experience to feel comfortable enough to be counted on, which I think was the point there, to test his coming back from injury and all that kind of stuff. And he's tough. He's small, but he's tough. Yeah, I don't know. My dad and I are going. I'm more dreading the idea that because what the hell game was it last year where him and I got stuck in the traffic so bad. I think it was a Monday or a Sunday. Yeah, it was a Monday night game, I think. And we just got in this awful traffic and we hardly even got there on time. So I'm sure that my dad is just going to be like chomping at the bit at about 3 p.m. being like, so I know you're working, but like, I guess we have to get on the road now. So we're going or what?
Well,
I'm
yeah, if you're going to get that out early, just make sure you bring enough beers.
No, we have another primetime game. The first 4 games. So I feel bad for America.
Yeah, I know. And
whoever made the schedule is getting fired.
Well, that lovely record that Jones has of 1-11 in prime time, that's great. I like that.
Those are Kirk Cousins numbers, man. Got to get those. It's looking good.
What's his record non-prime time?
Taking out those, well, I don't know. Do the math.
Just subtract 1 win and 11 losses.
Yeah,
from his total. What do you think Daniel Jones's record
time?
Is? Yeah, Daniel Jones win-loss.
12-35.
Are you looking at
35? I'm gonna look it up.
I don't know.
Daniel Jones is 21-32-1.
Ugh.
There you go.
That's actually better than I thought.
So
Daniel Jones is
11 games under
20 and 20. Oh, you see 20 and 21. Not in prime time. There you go.
Hey, that's Eli numbers.
Yeah, right. Even. Straight and even.
Yeah, what did Eli's end up? It was like 105, 105, and 1 or something stupid.
Exactly. Yeah, he got to play the one game Jones got hurt against the Dolphins and he won.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was. Man, I miss Eli.
Hey, I mean, he didn't really leave. We see him all the time.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I sort of lamented him a bit when he was playing, especially in the regular season. I miss Eli.
Yes.
He was very bad like the last 5 years of his career, though. He was very, very bad.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
There's a number of reasons
should have moved
why
on
that
from
is.
him. Yeah, much earlier than they did.
Oh, yeah.
No, you have to draft Saquon 2nd overall and do one more Super Bowl rundown. Come on.
Right. They came close.
What was their record that year?
The Saquon year?
Yeah, Saquon's rookie year.
6 wins, something like that.
Yeah,
Usually around
exactly.
6.
Oh, it was 6?
It's just like don't even look it up. It's like just usually around 6.
Yeah.
Anywhere from 4 to 7 wins, usually.
Let's see. Saquon's rookie year is 2018. God, I love the internet. Do you remember when we were kids and there wasn't the internet and you wouldn't know how many yards Saquon Barkley had in his rookie year just in 2 seconds?
And you'd have to wonder and talk and have conversation.
Yeah, you'd have to go somewhere and find the information and speak to somebody about it who could tell you things.
Or be like, wait till Colin gets here, he'll know.
Yeah, 5 and 11.
Colin would get there. Yeah, there you go.
But how would you find new music if there wasn't any TikTok then, guys?
You'd go to Camelot and you get a Vagrant CD. We run the Streets mixer with 37 songs on it.
Yep.
For $2.
Usually someone else would just show me music. That's usually how it works.
Well, but what are friendships? People get together and they have conversations?
Oh God, that sounds terrible. I don't want to do that at all.
What?
Have a conversation with people.
Oh,
I can't stand having conversations with people anymore.
No, hate it.
My social battery has just done. I'm done. 0.
That's
Just hanging
not
out with
true.
the wrong people, TJ.
Yeah.
You're hanging out with a bunch of Zoomers at the bar.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do hang out with when you hire a 23-year-old girl to work for you, you're like, oh, this should be good. And then you're like, oh yeah, I remember when I was 23. Yep.
That sucked.
Everyone's just drunk all the time.
Nobody
anything
really
else?
likes you when you're 23, I heard.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
good. Nice.
It's true. You guys want to talk about anything around the NFL? I just want to mention the Dolphins game because wow.
Didn't see any of the replay, any of the highlights of that. I just assumed that Sean Payton should have quit after that game.
Yeah,
That
he didn't they trade like a first and second round pick to the Saints for him too?
Yep. They did.
Mike McDaniel may be after Brian Dable, maybe my second favorite coach in the NFL. I just love like his press conferences. He just makes me laugh.
You ever seen those pictures of him when he was a teenager and how insane he looked?
I saw it today when he was a Broncos ball boy.
Yeah.
And he had like those earrings. He definitely like didn't look like a jock. He looked like he opened for he played in the band after us or whatever. Yeah.
Skateboarding.
He said if he didn't play professional football for the Denver Broncos, his life would not be complete.
Well,
Maybe I guess
it's not complete. Is there still a chance?
There's always a chance, Colin.
Babe, do you think we can get him to coach us and we'll win the Super Bowl that way?
That's the only way it's going to happen.
You mean the three of us? Or the Giants?
No. Just us.
Just us.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? He would get us in space. He'd get you in space on a crossing route and let you take it in.
Maybe he can like
Hospital
blow
balls.
He can vape fat clouds onto the field and like block, the defender's vision.
Wait, is he a big vapor?
Oh, he vapes all right. You didn't see him vaping on the sideline that one game they caught him?
No.
Oh no, it's funny. He's like Lauren Boebert in a musical theater, man.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Nice shot.
Do you guys want to talk about anything else, or should we should call it a night?
Yeah, we're at 50 minutes. I
think we did it.
Yeah, we did it.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening tonight. You can follow Big Blue United, X, Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram. Shout out to Newark Airport for hosting Dan tonight. Look at that. Oh yeah, this is so exciting. They're probably like, "Why is that guy talking to himself about sports that in the corner over there?" All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a good night.
See ya.
Bye.